So for the very first time, please welcome PlayTell.
Thank you. Is this mic on? Allow me to introduce you to the intrepid pirate Ryan and his grandma, Nana Sue. Ryan is 4 years old, and for as long as he can remember, Nana Sue has come over every night to read him a story at bedtime. But late last month, Ryan's dad got a job in Seattle. And ever since they've moved, Ryan keeps asking his dad why Nana Sue doesn't want to come over anymore to read with him. They've tried to read together over Skype, but it's just not the same, where one person has the book and the other person can't really see the pictures. And Nana Sue's just kind of starting to feel lonely. But with PlayTell, they can have story time together, even while they're apart. And we have our very own Pirate Ryan here to show you how it works. Entering a playdate with Nana Sue is as easy as finding her photo and tapping on it.
Ooh, hello.
Nana Sue gets a push notification on her iPad, and into the playdate they both go.
Oh, no. Hello.
Do it.
Yeah, no, it's...
So as you can see, there's a collection of books that they can choose from inside of PlayTell. Either of them can select the book that they like. In this case, Ryan selected his favorite, This Old Man, and it appears on Nana Sue's iPad as well. As they turn the pages and choose different books, PlayTell keeps both of their iPads in sync. One of the things that we noticed when Nana Sue and Ryan were reading together in person was that they would only spend about half of their time reading the actual story. The other half would be spent talking about the pictures, pointing to things inside of the pictures and talking about them. So we introduced this feature inside of PlayTell that lets them do exactly that, point to what's inside of the picture and tap on it. The other person will see a blue dot on top of the picture, and in that way they can communicate via touch. So you can see that reading together inside of PlayTell is not that different from reading together in person. I'd like to share a couple of features that are coming down the pike in PlayTell very soon. The first, you saw the couple of books that we have. It's a growing library of content that Nana Sue and Ryan can choose from to read together. We're quickly expanding that library as we introduce some of our own titles and those of third-party authors and publishers. Very soon, Nana Sue and Ryan will be able to watch videos together as well inside of PlayTell by doing a simple search inside of the interface. In addition, PlayTell will capture memories of them as they're making them. So as Nana Sue and Ryan read together, PlayTell will take video snapshots and photo snapshots of them, so Nana Sue can have a video stored on her iPad of herself and Ryan singing a nursery rhyme together to call up anytime that she wants whenever she misses them. So on to our learnings. There are two that I want to share with you today. The first is that kids as young as 2 years old are proficient on the iPad. This might not be a surprise to the parents in the audience, but it was to us. My co-founder Jason used to be a designer at Apple in the early iPad days, and he can tell you that they were much more focused on an older demographic for the early users of the iPad. But so in designing for such a young age group, there are a couple of design considerations to take into account. The first one might be a little obvious, but it is to have large buttons and large click areas. The second is to avoid this red area that you see at the bottom of the iPad by moving the controls higher on the screen so that tiny hands that tend to hold the iPad down there at the bottom don't accidentally hit the controls. The second is that there are exceptions to what counts towards screen time. So as a lot of us know, parents will track the amount of time that our children spend in front of the TV and the computer and the iPad watching movies and playing video games because we don't want our kids to turn into video game zombies. But things like Skype and FaceTime and now PlayTell don't seem to count towards that. And we believe it's because of the human-to-human interaction that these apps promote. We think there's a real opportunity for technology to bring us closer together rather than making us more isolated. And at PlayTell, we're really trying to push the boundaries of how we take our real-life interactions and digitize them. We're launching our private beta today, and we encourage you and your families to sign up at playtell.com. Thank you.
Judges, thoughts on PlayTell story? And I'm assuming that when the heads were cut off in half during the demo, that was just an AV glitch.
It was just an AV glitch. We were actually playing a video of the two of them together.
No,
it wasn't a live demo.
You would, in fact, see the entire
Of course.
head. Yes.
Thank you.
So where does the content come from, the storybooks that the like a grandma and kid could select? Like I noticed some samples, but like where does that come from?
Yeah, there are a couple of our own titles in there, and there are some third-party authors and publishers that are very soon going to be putting their content in there as well.
And how do you charge for this?
The app is completely free to use with a small handful of books, and then it's a monthly subscription to get access to more books and games each month.
Have you figured out a price that you're shooting for?
We haven't figured it out
market
yet. The ballpark is on the order of $5 a month, but we'll probably experiment with different tiers of access.
And since you don't do anything to the content, have you spoken to the owners of to iBooks or Amazon that you'd be able to use existing content libraries as you're putting a viewer on top?
Yeah, that's a great question. We haven't yet. We do plan to. Right now, we're targeting indie authors and game developers because those contents are proprietary. Those formats are proprietary right now. But we do plan to talk to them in time.
We didn't really see the actuation method, how Grandma, or Nana Sue, starts this. How easy is Nana Sue going to figure this out?
Yeah, I really wish that we could have shown that to you. I'm sorry. It's essentially just a grid of photos is your profile page. Okay. So as soon as I open the app, that grid of photos of all your family members is there. So you just find the photo of the person that you want, you tap on it, and it sends the push notification right away. And as soon as you tap, you're in the play date, just waiting for the other person to
And
connect.
does the subscription work $5 on each side?
We're thinking $5 for a family pack.
That's nice.
Is it just 2 people at a time? Not just, but is it
Right
2
now
people
it's
at a time?
just
Can you do more?
right now it's 2 people at a time. The platform is built such that we can have multiple people at a time. Yeah.
Ted, when you look at does this look like a fundable company? Does this look like something you could actually invest in and make a big company out of, or does it right now just feel like a sort of small project? Looking at it as a venture capitalist.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice mashup of a lot of the kind of technologies that are out there right now, and I'd agree with you that it's a different experience, speaking from experience, than using Skype or FaceTime with your kid. I would be concerned with the long-term willingness to pay. I mean, a subscription, you can see paying for the content, but paying for the service, it feels like one of the book platforms may look to build this into their own reader to help them sell content. So maybe that's a possible exit for you, but being standalone and not having your own book library or store that with all the titles feels difficult.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we're focusing primarily on our own app right now. One of the things that we're exploring with some third-party organizations is being sort of that beige level SDK for them that powers that interactive reader for their titles as well. So we're really sort of looking at both to see where the right play is. We personally think there's a pretty good business in either of those, depending on which one we can build.
Robert, you're on the road a lot. But is this something you think you would, when your kids
Yeah,
were a little bit younger, you would have
I have a
wished
2 and
for?
4-year-old, and I have an autistic 4-year-old, so it gets a little difficult when trying to share an iPad. They tend to fight over it. So I'm wondering, have you tested with 2 kids in the house and trying to get 2 kids to use one iPad?
Yeah, truth be told, so what we found in that realm is that households that have 1 iPad and 2 kids have sort of had to broker that quite a bit, and there are some households that have just
we have
fine.
2 iPads.
You have 2 iPads. Some people, those who can afford it, just buy a second iPad. But what we found is that it's a lot like any other toy that they have to share, and so parents are sort of used to brokering that. And in addition, the other thing that we've seen is that a lot of kids are used to sitting in front of Skype both at the same time with grandma or with the dad who's on the road. So this sort of plays into that in that same way.
It's interesting. I want to try it. So.
We'd love you to try it.
Yeah, I like this idea a lot. I mean, I definitely can see how you could have multiple business models around either charging grandma for access. Have you thought of putting a record button in? Is that part of the plan?
Yes, absolutely. Very soon we'll have a record button and the ability to just sort of set it so that it always records or it periodically takes snapshots. So then there is this whole idea of that feed of photos for your family that you can share, not just with the people who have been inside of the playdate, but your extended friends and family as well.
I mean, I can
Yeah.
even see just like having the grandma, if she or he, if it's a grandfather, reading the book and actually being able to play back the whole reading experience. I know my daughter would have loved to have that actually, because I read books really well. I'm a
I think
reader.
that's the $10 feature. Like,
Right, that's the
'cause I can
value-add
take-
feature,
yeah,
absolutely.
I can take
Yeah.
screenshots all day long of it, native to any device, but the ability to record the
Yeah.
actual video,
Yeah.
to me, that's a $25 feature or a $10 feature
Yeah.
that everybody will pay for on both sides.
agree.
Plus, you'd save that for. I'd love to have my a recording of my grandma reading to me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And
To have
imagine
forever.
publishing
Yes.
it to YouTube
Oh, absolutely.
and then sharing it with the
Fantastic.
extended family.
Oh, God, that'd be.
Actually, going back to the content, have you spoken to any public libraries and the ebook programs they have that let you check out for free?
No, not yet.
I mean,
but
that
like
would be.
idea.
I know they're doing that for Kindle versions of adult books,
Yes.
but at least again, in my family, we're at the library all the time. You just have so much room for the kids' books, and there's so many titles. And if you could access a free library underneath and have your service run on
Yeah.
top.
What about adding this as a feature to all the books that are out there already? I mean, there's so many book publishers that are licensing their books, and there's so many of these sort of small development shops. Could you go to the small development shops and say, add this for $1,000, or we'll split with you the revenue from that feature, white label it?
Yes, and we're having some early conversations in that vein.
Yeah. There's a new iPad feature that just got announced yesterday that locks the
We're
home
so
button.
excited about that.
Yeah, because when I hand my kid FaceTime, he hits it, and because he thinks he can go back to YouTube while he's talking to mom, and doesn't quite realize
Yes.
things go away. And so this is really going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
on the new
we've jumped
version.
through a lot of hoops to get the app to automatically reconnect as soon as you go back into it if you accidentally hit the home button, but we're so excited to just be able to turn off the home button. Period.
So that's going to be part of the development kit? Is that part of
The new iOS 6 has that as a feature. They were aiming at autistic kids because they always are hitting buttons just to try them out.
Yep.
And this also lets you lock the screen onto one app so that they can't go to YouTube and start surfing porn sites and stuff like that.
Yeah, YouTube can take you down interesting places. Let's hear it for PlayTell.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Do any of our kids have any thoughts on this one? You do? Come on up. What's your name and how old are you?
Justin, and I'm 8 years old.
Okay. And did you used to read, or do you read books with mom, dad, and grandma,
Yes.
grandpa? Yeah. And is this the kind of product that you might be interested in trying?
Yes.
And what do you like about it?
I really like that you can communicate from one place to another. But I have a question.
Go ahead.
How did you come up with the idea for the game?
Oh, how did you come up with the idea for the book? Will you read it, or the game with the piano? The book. Okay, where's the?
That's such a great question. The question is, how did we come up with the idea? And the answer is that I personally have this problem. I have a nephew, in Seattle, and my parents lived in Dallas. And every time I did a Skype date with my nephew, it was really frustrating that we couldn't read this sort of stack of Dr. Seuss books that I had bought him that he absolutely loves. And it sort of struck me, I have this for work. When I want to work with someone who lives far away, I can see them on video chat, and we can create a Word document and write things together. So it occurred to me that I should be able to do the same thing with my nephew who lives in Seattle and be able to read with him.
Is that a good enough answer for you?
Yes.
How many dollars would you be willing to pay for this software? Of your dollars.
I'm not sure.
But how many of your parents'
Future venture
dollars?
capitalists.
So tell me, you have an iPhone, an iPad? What do you have? You have some devices? What devices are you on?
Well, I play on my mom's phone.
Gotcha. And do you have a favorite app or two? What are your favorite apps on the iPhone?
My favorite app is this app called Mega Run.
Mega Run. And does that have in-app purchases? Nope. No, you don't have to do any in-app purchases. You bought it one time. Okay. You ready to pick from the bag?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Pick something from the bag. There's iTunes cards, but you can only take one of the iTunes cards.
By the way, Jason, this company did something very smart. They put AngelList on their homepage so that people like me can go and follow them on
Yes,
AngelList.
they'll get a ton of followers today, yes.
We hope
Absolutely
so.
critical.
Encourage you to follow us on AngelList.
Smart for a startup to do.